I noticed when speaking with the mic, there's kind of an echo. So if you want me to put the mic down, just let me know and I can project. I'd like to ask all of us to move a little bit here. So for those of you who are comfortable standing, would everybody please stand up? Right, yes. Feel free to stretch out. Thank you so much for your commitment of listening and checking all this out. My name is Ren Barger. I am the founder and CEO of a local nonprofit called Tulsa Hub. Our mission is to change lives through cycling. I would like to kind of know who's in the room here. I am not an urban planner. A lot of this is very new to me. All of this technical information is fascinating. However, my passion tends to be in the implementation, execution, empowerment side of things. So, would you all show me by either remaining standing or by sitting down or moving around a little bit, who in this room is an urban planner, designer, someone that works on the infrastructure side of things? You can raise your hand, you can move. Okay, cool. Everybody check out. Who in here is an educator, someone that is a teacher, someone that's in some kind of academic institution? Okay. Who here works for the city of Tulsa? All right. Is anyone from out of Tulsa? Anyone live outside of Tulsa? Okay. How many of you grew up in a rural environment? An environment you consider rural? Okay. How many of you grew up in an urban environment? All right, actually looks like the majority. Okay. How many of you all biked or walked to school when you were students? Any time in your academic career? Okay. How many of you all currently have children who utilize biking or walking to school as part of their life? All right. How many of you all in the room consider yourself of the baby boomer generation? Okay. How many of you all consider yourself millennials, Xers, Ys, et ceteras? All right, very nice. Is there any other questions that I should ask you right now? Okay. All right, feel free to keep standing, keep moving, or have a seat again. I shall launch into this presentation, and we'll see where we end up. So here we are, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It has been called many things in its history. America's second most livable city being one of those monikers. Can anyone find the pedestrian or the cyclist in this picture? That is a trick question because there is not one present. This picture was probably taken in the 1920s when, biking and walking was more of a common mode share just due to lack of technology. This is Tulsa, Oklahoma from a contemporary perspective. Can anyone find the pedestrian or the cyclist in this picture here? Can someone find where the pedestrians are walking, meanwhile, on the goat path there on the side of the road, right? So when I do these presentations at national conferences, the Alliance for Biking and Walking, the League of American Bicyclists, other organizations that have educated me to think more critically about the built environment, the role of cyclists and pedestrians in the transit system, I tell people that if you were to find yourself in Tulsa, Oklahoma, not unlike many other mid-sized cities of the Plains and the Southwest region, that you'd find yourself spending a lot of time in a car. You wouldn't see a lot of public transit infrastructure, not a lot of sidewalks, not a lot of bike lanes, not a lot of public transit infrastructure. Thus, you won't see a lot of pedestrians or a lot of cyclists. Many of the pedestrians and cyclists that you would see are the people who have been marginalized, the people who have been overlooked, the people who have been disdained, the people who have been forgotten from the planning infrastructure, the people who have been made invisible by the motorized mainstream and people of affluent society. These are the people that I incorporated my social justice organization to serve. I think that we can all agree that movement is essential to the human condition. A great part of my work as the executive director of a not-for-profit social justice agency is to examine the relationship between movement and mobility. As Americans, we all like to believe that we're free to move, but free and equal mobility is a myth. Some of us are in charge of it, some of us are excluded or even imprisoned by it. Movement is culturally meaningful. It affects changes in social condition and in social status. It is a lens through which privilege and disadvantage, power and powerlessness are revealed. Streets and our transportation systems are the civic inheritance of our culture. They are a reflection of the values and the priorities of nations, municipal and societal. It's fair to say that the planners and developers of our city, not unlike many other cities in the Plains and the Midwest, shaped it according to moving personal automobiles from one point to another as quickly as possible. I wonder if it ever occurred to the planners and the designers that there could and would be consequences to promoting the place of the automobile over the place of the pedestrian or of the cyclist. I wonder if it ever occurred to them that personal automobiles may not be affordable or accessible to very large numbers of citizens. And with regard to those consequences, ultimately a lot of people were failed by these planners and designers. They failed the mother who has to navigate through a drainage ditch, often filled with water this time of year, just to get to and from the store. They failed the student on his way to school on foot. They failed the elder whose eyesight has deteriorated so much that they're no longer able to drive safely. They failed the veteran who had lost the use of his legs when he returned to the United States after his service abroad. By accident or by design, they severed the connectivity of the human scale. And don't you just love this sign up here? This is actually from Channel 2 News last year. Oklahoma refuses to apply for pedestrian safety grant. Highway safety director says that their staff is too busy to address this problem, right? Thus, through the lens of a cultural anthropologist, the street is also an expression of domination and power, where a hierarchy of size, speed, affluence, and privilege dramatize the relationship between the quick and the dead. And I can speak so boldly about all of this intellectual jargon from a very personal experience. Do you recognize me in a halo? At the close of 2004, I was struck by a motorist while riding my bike in Chicago. I sustained a spinal fracture and 8 broken bones. I was confined to a wheelchair for 2 months as I convalesced in a public hospital in Chicago. Just as I was learning to walk again, my sister was killed in a car accident. So, like many of you must, I get asked all the time, don't you know how dangerous it is to ride a bicycle in the street, like with the traffic that's in the street? And I'd like to know why it's not of greater concern that, number one, driving is the most dangerous activity that any adult will perform in their adult life. Number two, that a sedentary lifestyle is inching up on the dangers that our academic experts here have already reminded us about with regard to cardiovascular disease, inactivity, sedentary lifestyle-related issues. And number three, I'm curious why more people don't ask me, do you ever imagine what the streets would look like if they were full of people instead of cars? So it was a miracle that I lived. It is a miracle that we are all alive. And I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to return to the land of my birth and the land where work conquers all. Tulsa has provided me a place to work, to make visible my belief in human power, to combine my love for cycling with a passion for social justice, and it is called Tulsa Hub. Tulsa Hub is categorically a syndicate of volunteers on a mission to change lives through cycling. Has anyone in the room heard of our mission or visited our facility downtown behind the BOK Center? Lovely, all right. Within this community cycling workshop at 601 West 3rd Street downtown, long days and even longer nights are enjoyed in incredible company, refurbishing discarded bikes and pairing them with the people who have been discarded from our society. The leadership is 1 full-time staff and 4 part-time staff, a core group of about 8 volunteer mechanics and educators. There are 14 members on our working board of directors. Sean, who is one, Jonathan Belsley, who I saw, who is another. Anyone else in the room a volunteer for the Hub? Larry, hello. Stephen, Nathan, hello. Some of our personnel are invested in us because of previous engagement in either our Earn a Bike programs, our Biking for Transportation programs, our community bike shop classes that we teach about how to work on your own bike, and the parts and accessories that we offer at low or no cost. We are a 501c3. We're nearing a $200,000 scale at the close of year 6. And 1/2 of that budget sources from in-kind donations. Has anyone in this room made a donation to the Tulsa Hub of a bike, part, gear, etc.? Lovely. We accept any bicycle in any condition, etc., etc. We execute our mission through 2 programs and several events in the community. The workshop that you'll see here is a multi-generational mentor learning environment, a safe space where anyone can come and build positive relationships and learn some new skills. As an alternative to consumerism, all of our methodology is participation focused, meaning that we value the exchange of people's time equal to the value of their money. The main program that I do is called ACE, Adult Cycling Empowerment. These are some of the faces of the 1,400 people or so that I've worked with over the past 6 years. People lacking abundant support relationships, adequate physical and mental health care, or simply an option for transit to get to and from work if they have talent and drive to share. After about 10 hours of volunteerism in our bike shop, an upfront commitment to work with us and then take education classes, a high-quality bike, lock, and safety gear may be earned at no cost. Since 2009, 370 people have become commuter cyclists through ACE. Over half of these folks are still in touch with me and have reported using their bicycle to get them to school, to a job, or otherwise mobilize themselves towards improved self-sufficiency. Meanwhile, we're looking at changing the habits of the next generation by working with 3rd through 6th graders at high-poverty elementary schools in the Tulsa metropolitan region. Rosa Parks was one of those sites that we worked with the students. Many of them do not have bikes of their own and would not have bikes of their own to keep unless they had engaged in the Hub's programs. I have worked with about 1,700 of these kids so far, and they want to ride bikes. They need bikes first and foremost, and secondly, I would really love to see more safe spaces being mindful of not only getting kids outside, but to get to utilize the ritual and the rite of passage that many of us did, which is to be able to bike to and from school autonomously, to enact that ritual of being dependent on their parents and using a bike to move toward independence. So, why Tulsa Hub and why now? Not unlike many other sprawling cities of the plains, which are being repopulated by the regress migration of those priced out of the coasts, Tulsa is exploring urban infill development and wooing the creative class. Raise your hand if you consider yourself in this branded generation. Okay, lovely, yes. So, many of these mainstream niches of cycling have grown significantly in Tulsa since I've lived here the past 7 years. We've got, Tulsa Tough, the Townies on the River, all the investment that private and public money has gone into to making our communities more livable, more walkable, more beautiful, to be enjoyed outdoors more often. And as Tulsa is striving to brand and market its identity, the leadership at Tulsa Hub is committed to ensuring that the cyclists our mission serves, i.e. the riders you do not see represented as mainstream versions of this new mode share that we're looking to promote, have a voice in the dialogue with regards to planning and consideration. My team and all the people that I have worked with over the past 6 years have helped me understand that homelessness and poverty are not the problem, but symptoms of the problem, which I look forward to discussing with all of you when you follow up with me after this conference. And I will leave you with this. Does anyone recognize where that street is there on the left? That's Boston Avenue heading north, and how about this one on the right? That's 3rd Street heading east. This is the vision that I would like to see in every city in the United States of America. People feeling like they have a place to use bicycling for transportation, and students especially. It's going to take, every facet of human culture to be able to empower this and to make it happen. I thank you all so much for your leadership. It is the work you are doing that is reconnecting that severed human scale. And I thank you for traveling with me on this journey. Let's go farther than we ever imagined.